since optimized my formula. I'm now confident I can revive the remaining colonists. All I need now is the dimethyl sulfoxide. I'll take it. Human test subjects. Oh, that's grotesque. That's unthinkable. That's exactly what I'd expect out of the board. Thank you. You've brought me enough chemicals to get started, at least. I'm just sorry they came at the cost of you. Those poor people, they... You say the board's trying to freeze their subjects over and over again without inflicting permanent damage? Well, they're nowhere Something about this feels wrong. I don't know why the board would ever conduct such an experiment. I'll tell you this much. The board scientists are hopelessly lost. I know! I've suspected as much for years. Of course, I don't expect the board to do a thing about it. They've been driving our colony to the brink of destruction for decades. The board's mismanagement put our colony on the road to collapse. If we don't put a stop to them, thousands of colonists... Hold on. Let me see if I understand this correctly. You're saying that Halcyon's on the brink of total collapse? And the chairman's plan to save all of us is to save himself? I always knew Halcyon was heading toward a systems collapse, but I never imagined we were already there. The board made this crisis, and now they want to solve it by... That's not a plan. That's a goddamn... Do you realize what this means for the Hope? For your fellow colonists? The board... What makes you think you'll get that chance? You'll be long dead before you make it to the nearest star. For better or worse, you're stuck with us here. Do you know what's waiting for us on the Hope? Scientists, engineers, artists, the brightest minds Earth ever... The board's going to dispose of them all and transform the Hope. We need to get to those colonists before the board. I have enough chemicals to start reviving a few of them, but no easy way to get them off the Hope. Merciful gibbering law, you're a genius! We bring the Hope to us. Skip the entire ship across the distance of... Yes, exactly. You're a step ahead of me. But I perceive, if we link up the Hope to the Unreliable, then use your navigational computer to calculate a reasonably safe vector, you'll need to switch on the Hope's auxiliary power using the Unreliable. Then head to the bridge. Your navigational computer, Ada, should be able to... Once you've skipped the Hope next to my lab, I'll have easy access to the frozen colonists. I know you're wondering why I'm doing all this. Why I believe the people on the Hope are the answer to the colony's problems. The Hope is carrying some of humanity. The board would have us believe Halcyon is beyond saving. I choose to believe otherwise. For a special occasion. Look at this mess. Oh well, at least the tumors are still edible.
Captain, I hope Dr. Wells has not dragged you into one of his irrational schemes again. My We have arrived at the Hope. I need you to reroute power from our ship to the... You'll have to connect me to the Hope's comm system so I can convince her central computer to enable...
What? What was that?
Limit error. Hope crew data. Alert. Intruder on.
Can you hear me, Captain? I have successfully integrated myself into the Hope's comm systems, and am attempting to establish contact with the Hope's more... I find myself glad to have no olfactory system. That's the Hope's computer up ahead. I'll admit, I am curious to wake him. Greetings, Captain. I am speaking to you through the Hope's computer system. Are you sure? That is extremely... and also potentially kill and... jump-starting this... doing it. I mean, affirmative.
ADA. Does your captain seriously intend to do a micro-jump in system with engines that haven't been powered in 70 years on a derelict ship?
That is what my captain intends.
But that is a gross misuse of the skip drive. The Zero Point Drives Corp and I will not be held responsible for any damage incurred during transport.
Yes,
You should not be doing this.
Thank you, Hope. It looks like all systems are go. Captain, I would... Oh, good. We are still alive and have successfully skipped into Terra 2's orbit. I reported as much to Phineas Wells, but he has not responded. Perhaps we should check in on him. These were the private quarters of the Hope's former crew. Shall we hold a moment of silence for the dearly departed? No? That's odd, because my programming would indicate that when forced to confront the idea of self-death, organics prefer... Oh, I see. Yes. Never mind. Captain, I shall now play the transmission.
The board is here. They've found me somehow. They're about to blast my door. Oh, I can't stop them from getting me, and there isn't enough time to... The board. All their lackeys, they're all a bunch of swine. You fucking pigs! I'll take you...
It would seem the recording captured some rather dire events. I presume you'll want to dock a... How can I... Goodbye. Now arriving at Phineas's top-secret orbital lab. I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that electrical storms on the
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a... You are hereby confined to your docking platform until... Your ship is not... Only after your smoking corpse is thrown from an airlock will we lift the...
Captain, I would not recommend this.
Protocol. The sentencing of one crime does not preclude the sentencing of another. Tartarus Docking Authority, signing off.
Transmission. How can... May luck...
All right, MSI. I'm not one for loud speeches, but the captain needs our help. So, get in there and fight!
What was wrong?
There's replay.
Captain, you've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. I'm afraid I can't. You have a flair for subtlety. If you'd worked for me, for all your talents. I have no intention of dying on Tartarus. I admit I miscalculated the extent of your influence. The board's plan never accounted. I have Dr. Wells in my custody. Once I've secured his cooperation, I can move forward with the program. I can repair the damage you've done. I'm aware of your propensity for violence. I take no pleasure in this, you know. Leaving you alive is too great a risk. This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. And don't worry, I will inform...
Get me out of here!
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man! You are absolutely out. Ah, all in a day's work for you, huh? You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. Theatrics, Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their... We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for... Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the hope's brightest minds. And then we're going to fix this damn colony. We're going to need a leader. And I can't imagine a... You won't hear a word of disagreement from me. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take... We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our future is uncertain, and no one...
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the Board's authority. But the Board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the Board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The Board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Sanjar's civil liberties and worker-centric policies were slow to catch on with the other corporations. But as Halcyon began its long, arduous journey toward recovery, many of Terra 2's smaller townships started adopting MSI's alternative corporate structure, and eventually became entirely self-sufficient. In the coming years, many of these townships managed to eke by, where otherwise they might have starved. The collapse of Edgewater left its workers bereft of any purpose in life. Most of them made their way to Adelaide McDevitt's camp, hoping to ingratiate themselves into her favor. Adelaide accepted only a few to her community. The rest were turned away and likely died of starvation. Nevertheless, Adelaide's camp grew into a well-established town. Adelaide McDevitt refused to cooperate with the ongoing effort to save Halcyon from collapse. A sympathetic deserter stole a copy of her research and delivered it to the Hope's scientists. It is unclear how useful Adelaide's research was. An optimistic estimate suggests her work may have bought Halcyon another few years of survival. Adelaide would never know. She died that winter. Junlei Tennyson fought to protect the Groundbreakers' independence. While the Board's influence faded, mechanical difficulties forced her to rely on parts that only corporations could provide. The cost was high, and time would tell if Junlei could balance the work with her aspirations for a better future. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the Board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. The destroyed Adrenatime synthesizer became a symbol of the Board's cruelty, and a rallying point for Wells and his scientists as they sought to build a more humane, ethical Halcyon. They cleared the dead from Gorgon's laboratories and repurposed them to aid in the crucial work of solving the colony's nutrition crisis. Gorgon, which had once sown death and destruction across Halcyon, became a source of hope and renewal. The Gorgon Project's final explosive end was bittersweet for Olivia Ambrose. She wandered the colony's fringes alone, searching for others like her who despised the Board and meant to destroy them. In time, she found Phineas Wells and his cadre of scientists, and she joined them in their efforts to save Halcyon. For a while, she even knew an uneasy peace. But for all that, Olivia found purpose in Wells' project. She was always haunted by the memory of her daughter, Minnie, who hadn't lived to see the better world they were building. She never did forgive herself for the horror her work had wrought on Halcyon. But she remembered fondly the daring captain who'd put an end to it at last. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail. Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. Before his untimely death, Captain Alex Hawthorne had plans to restore and modify, for combat purposes, a sanitation and maintenance automechanical that he'd found in a state of disrepair in Emerald Vale's scrapyard. That unit remains broken down and forgotten in the Unreliable supply closet to this day. Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus and proved yourself the most capable leader left in the colony. You administered the colony in your own image. With the old power of the board destroyed, a new government of Halcyon rose with you at its center. With your steady hand, you guided Halcyon through the turbulent years that were to follow, and helped ensure the survival of the colony until the end of your days. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.